that's the interrogation team, you have to seek permission. Is it clear to you? Hello? Oh, there is people in the upper region. Can we light them up? I just can't see them. If there's no more extra lights, you got to light up yourself.
Check.
Well, this Youth and Truth, why this has been on my mind for a long time because it's almost a constant question in the last many years that I've been active. People come to me and say, Sadhguru, where were you when I was 20? If I had met you 25 years ago, I would have done this, I would have done that. You came just too late. This is like a constant vein, it's happening. So I thought we will step out and meet all those people who are below 25 years of age in this country. And that's why the Youth and Truth. What we call as youth or what we call as life, essentially is a certain combination of certain amount of energy and certain amount of time. Time is slipping away for all of us. You do something, it goes away, you do nothing, it goes away, if you sleep, it'll go, if you're awake, it'll go. Time is rolling away for all of us at the same pace. And time rolling away is not about the clock, it just means we are ticking off life till the final tick, okay? When we are young, we don't really understand this, that we are at the peak of our energy only in that time that we call as youth. When you're youthful, you will not understand this, you think you're going to be like this forever, but you will see as time goes by, energy levels are not the same. So when the energies are at their peak, the exuberance of youth, if it could be tempered with more clarity and balance, I think this energy could become something tremendous. If the necessary clarity and balance is not there, then the same energy could be disastrous both for the individual, the society, the nation and the world. So it's in this context we thought if we can bring some clarity and balance into the life of the youth in this country, and once this is over, the next phase is going to go international and we're going to reach out to students everywhere to bring some, at least a little more clarity and balance so that this exuberance of energy which is only at this phase of life will find fruit, will find fruitful expression in one's life, doesn't go waste and doesn't turn against ourselves. For most human beings, they don't need enemies, they're just doing great. Please.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. It's an absolute privilege to have you among us today. Our girls are super excited, as you can see.
They were excited when Ranveer Singh came, I saw, not…
It's an absolute joy to have you among us today. Before we begin, I will quickly introduce the panel to you. This is Kajal Hamjad. This is Anjali Chandrana. And I will be your moderator for today, Anisha Koshi. So we can begin with the first question. So we've had an array, a plethora of questions come in from the entire student body. Teachers too wanted to sneak in a couple of questions now and then. But most of these questions have come in from our active student body, either through social media or otherwise, as personal formats as well. So the questions are representative of the mass. It's not an individual question that we will be asking. Yeah, and they…
A question doesn't need so much explanation.
So let's dive right in. So Kajal has the first question.
So I think the first question as such is something that happened in recent time. So I'm pretty sure everyone knows about Section 377 being decriminalized. Yep. And I think most of the youth, everyone, me, I think most of us would have gone back home. We're very happy about this. And we talk to our parents and people from the, older generation. Right? So this is something that I do with my parents on a regular basis. We sit and we discuss a lot of topics. So this is something that happened to me and something that I've heard from a lot of people as well. So when we discuss something like this with our older generation, they said, we are not going to debate with you as such, we're not going to impose our perspectives on you, but this is not accepted in our religion, right? So when I took a step back and I thought how difficult it would be for kids, for youth from the LGBT community to come out to their parents, and at the same time, when the parents pose this restriction that it is not accepted in our religion, how does a child and how does a parent deal with it? And sometimes a parent does cut off from their child as well. So just want to know your perspective on, the LGBT community or homosexuality as such with religion, and at the same time how a parent and a child should deal with it. Because I think a relationship between a parent and child is so important, right? And to lose something on that lines is not something.
Let's see, probably till now, largely in the social space, in the media space, in the social media space, everybody is pitching either for or against. Can we for some time not pitch for or against and simply look at the issue as it is? Can we? Look at me, I'm not a prude, okay? Let that be clear. So, when we say sexuality, let's understand this. It is something nature has put in us because there is something called as perpetuation of the race or the species, otherwise it won't happen. Of course, we being human beings, having more brains than body, supposed to, because of that, we kind of eliminated the reproductive part and just using the pleasure part of it, all right? This is sexuality right now largely in the world. But essentially, this pleasure also is come into the sexuality process because otherwise, well, if there was no pleasure to it, maybe we wouldn't be born, you and me. Our parents would not have gone into it if there was no pleasure at all attached. Yes or no? So we are here because of that. So there is no denying it or putting it under the carpet, that's not the thing. But somebody has a certain kind of sexual preference which has got nothing to do with reproductive process as such. It is their personal preference because every individual has the right to do whatever the hell they want to do with their body because it's their body. But if it is something harmful, you're going to cut your nose off or you're going to cut something else off, then maybe we will try to prevent you. But you're not causing any harm to yourself in that way, then it's your business as long as you do something in your private. Right now, the Supreme Court decision is just that what a person does in their private space is nobody's business. Government need not enter people's bedrooms, that is the law, all right? And I think it's right. But at the same time, why so many of you are upset about it or for it or against it is simply because there has been a campaign around the world. I'm saying the campaign should stop. There may be a few people who are oriented that way, leave them alone, it's their business, all right? Even if you're a heterosexual, you don't go about talking it on the street. Hello? You don't, isn't it? Because private matters must be handled that way unless you give some sanctity to this body. Please understand this. The fundamental difference between animal nature and human nature is this: we are doing the same things that they do. They earn a living, they go around, they reproduce, they die. We also do the same thing. We think a lot about it and we make a whole lot of fuss about it, but we are doing the same thing. Only difference is we can do all these things of eating, sleeping, reproducing, everything more consciously. Because of that, we hold ourselves little different from the other creatures. Otherwise, what's the big difference? You may think there's a difference, other animals are looking at you and thinking, what about you? Isn't it? So, this is the fundamental process. Now, individual people have some choices. I don't think it needs to become a national or international issue, it's their business, what they're doing. But at the same time, there is no need to campaign for it or against it. There is no need to campaign against it, there is no need to campaign for it. If you allow nature to take its course, the percentage of people who will fall that way are extremely small. But because of a whole campaign going on in the world, the number of people entering that space has become bigger, much bigger than what it should be. Having said that, your parents being upset about it or not coming to terms with it, if they're doing it for religious reasons, well, there may be a lot of trash in every religion, there is. But there is also some wisdom gathered over the times in every religion, yes or no? So this wisdom, some people are calling it religion, some people are looking at just sensibly and doing what they have to do. Some people read religious texts and come to this wisdom because they're not able to figure it out themselves. So do you have to agree with all the things that they say in the religion? No. But do you have to simply blanket disagree with everything? That'll be foolish. Because human experience cannot be thrown away, isn't it? Thousands of years of human cultural experience cannot be just thrown away. We have to take what is sensible and what is not. So when it comes to this aspect, they know the consequence of this. See, when you're at this age, the most attractive word is freedom. Hello? Well, I come from the 60s. You know what 60s? So, freedom is the word. In this… but since then I've looked at human mind in so many ways. The moment you utter the word freedom, people will end up doing freaky things. Because freedom is a consequence. It is not a thing that you do. See, freedom is not an act, freedom is a consequence of how I experience my life. Freedom comes out of a responsible existence. If you think of the consequence without taking care of the process, you will always end up as a disaster. I must tell you this. Well, at least 12 to 15 of close friends that I had when I was growing up, they all died before they're 35. Well, some of them, because we were living on motorcycles, they got killed on the motorcycles, rest drank themselves to death, others drugged themselves to death. At least 12 to 14 people who were very close to me, who were around me, all died before they're 35 because freedom. Do you understand? Freedom was the real thing. They became free, and they became free. Death is definitely freedom. So, one thing that young people should learn is, don't utter the word freedom because freedom is a consequence. It's something that you have to earn. It doesn't come as a philosophy. In 60s, we thought it's a philosophy. If you live responsibly, you will see freedom will come. When I say responsibly, not in the sense of civic responsibility, if you retain your ability to respond to life without any prejudice, without any restriction, you will see you will become free. Your ability to respond, if it is unlimited, it is freedom, isn't it? Now, coming to this religious resistance, there's nothing religious about this. Sexuality is a biological process. Yes? The very fact that nature created opposites, it has some intention. Well, some people didn't take to natural ways, it's okay, it's their choice. We don't have to discriminate against them, we don't have to persecute them, we don't have to put them in the prison, definitely it's not necessary. But at the same time, it doesn't need promotion either. Now, when I say freedom and responsibility, this is like this. See, suppose you want flowers in your garden. If you sit in your garden and every day do flower meditation, flowers will not come. If you want flowers, you don't have to even think about flowers. You must think soil, manure, water, sunlight. Soil doesn't feel like a flower, manure doesn't smell like a flower, water doesn't look like a flower, sunlight doesn't feel like a flower. But if you take care of these things, flowers will happen, isn't it? This is the way life works. So, the important thing with our lives is, this is a very westernized approach, that we are looking at the goal. We want the product, we don't want the process. No, if you're devoted to the process, if you're truly devoted to the process that you're doing right now, you will naturally do your best. Everything that you have, result will come or no? Result will come or no? It'll come. Just because you sit here and desire the result, it's not going to come. You will only have plastic flowers in your head. Flowers will not grow in your garden. So, this is a time of life. I'm surprised, like it's not just you, just about anywhere I go, young people are asking only this question. What this means is, they are trying to live too early. See, this is a time to grow. This is a time to enhance yourself, because your ability to enhance yourself and grow will not be the same after 10 years, believe me. Your ability to learn will not be the same. Your ability to grow physically, emotionally, intellectually and in consciousness will not be the same after 10 to 15 years' time. So this is a time to grow. When it's time to grow, if you try to live too much, some life you want to taste, but if you try to live too much, you will see your growth will be impeded and your life will be stunted in so many different ways. So it's very important young people focus on growth, because we are seeing this, like I've traveled across the United States, many of these universities. It brings tears to me when I see how it is. I'm glad, at least in India, most of the students are sober in the daytime. Really, I'm telling you, in top universities, daytime they're all gone. So we're becoming slaves of commerce. Because people have intentions to do their own thing, they're just enslaving the people, young people, because they want to sell their brand. Because it seems early age, if you get used to a certain kind of beer, that's what you're going to drink for the rest of your life. Yes, they have done research on this, universities have done researches on this, and they're supplying free beer in the school. Tell me, does it take a genius to understand this, that if I open a book which is of some complexity and I want to grasp this, if I'm intoxicated, can I grasp it? Hello? Does it take a genius to understand this, I'm asking? So, you don't have to… when your parents say something, they may refer to their religion because they think it's an authority. You take away the authority, just listen to the words. If it makes sense, do it. If it doesn't make sense, tell them politely, that's not the way it is with me, all right?
All right, the next question that's come in from the students is internal and external validation. So let's take a decade back. The word peer pressure was the next big thing. Everyone said, you shouldn't succumb to peer pressure, you shouldn't listen to what your peers have to say, they're probably ill-intentioned and ill-mannered. But we've reached a point where our peers don't have to say that to us anymore. It's internal validation. We do things to validate ourselves. And that's in some form or the other, way more dangerous than a peer telling us, because we can stop them. The voices in our head, we can't. So how do we sort of cope with internal validation?
I think
or the necessity for internal validation?
I already said that most people don't need enemies. They're just doing great by themselves. Now, see, when you say you're a human being, also connected with the previous question also, because you're still not fully settled. When you say, I'm a human being, you have a body, you have an intellect, a bunch of thoughts and certain penetration of intellect, you have emotions, and you have a consciousness behind this. Suppose we were some other creature, let's say we were buffaloes, then body would be the most dominant thing in our life. Biology and body is the dominant thing. Mind, intellect, not that it doesn't have, it has its own mind, but small. Emotions it has, but still not as big as the body. Consciousness, it is not truly aware of. So essentially, body is the front end of a buffalo. What should be the front end of you among these four things?
The mind, of course.
No, that's why it's a mess. You don't do guesswork, tell me.
I would go for the mind. The mind for
If you say the thought process,
thought process, yes.
see, your thought is a consequence of the data that you have gathered, isn't it?
Yes.
In this many years, I will assume you're 18, okay, just for safety, for my safety. In this little bit of time that you have, from birth to now, whatever data you have gathered, permutations and combinations of that is what is coming out as thought process. Thought is not coming from somewhere else. Yes? Only from the data. Do you believe you have all the data that is necessary to know the nature of your existence, the cosmos and the beginning and the end of everything? No. Whatever, if you've read the libraries of the world, still what you have is a minuscule. From this minuscule, you generate thoughts and you say, that should be the front end of your life. This is a European ailment. It's the Europeans who said thought is everything. You know Descartes is?
Yes.
You are not philosophy, right? What are you? Science, okay.
Avid philosophy.
Okay. Descartes said, I think so I exist. I'm asking all of you, is it because you exist you may think, or because you think you exist? Which way is it? Because you exist, you may think. Because most people are in a state of mental diarrhea all the time, they think thought is an eternal process. No. See right now, if my hand starts jumping all over the place, what do you think? You think I have an ailment, isn't it? So if your mind starts jumping all over the place, what should I think? You have an ailment. Only thing is, everybody is like you only. That's how everybody is, so it looks like normal. That's how it is in an asylum. Just because everybody's hand is jumping like this, does it become normal? I'm asking you, does it become normal? With hand, it's very obvious and visible, but if you pay enough attention, it is visible, isn't it? So your thought is an outcome of limited data. That can never be the front end, it's very, very small. Why thought became so significant in the world is because of European system of education. Why in Europe thought became so important was, they went through a few centuries of very dogmatic religious imposition. They were not allowed to think for themselves. So somewhere in 1700s, they broke away from that. They started thinking for themselves, it looked like liberation. But now the same thought is freaking people to death. See, if I leave you alone in a room all by yourself, I will give you food and shelter and everything, all good care for you. Only thing is, nothing to do. You will freak yourself to death, believe me. So, with that kind of a mind, you want it to be the front end? So, thought is a very, very limited thing. In the yogic culture, there is no significance to thought. We don't care what you think and feel. That may sound a little abrasive, but why I'm saying this is because we know what you can think and feel. It does not mean you are ever exploring anything new with your thought. You're only recycling the old data bin that you have. Endless recycling of what you already have. Nothing new will ever happen. This is why societies are going on talking the same rubbish forever. Centuries after centuries, they're discussing the same damn thing. We still can't figure out, well, the most fundamental thing, the biology, sexuality, we can't figure it out after millions of years of existence because thought-based. If you pay attention, simply you know what it is. You don't have to think about it. Only because we're thinking about it, it's getting all distorted in the mind. Otherwise, biology is quite clear-cut. There is no need to exaggerate it, nor to… Yes, there is no need to play it up or play it down, it is there to the extent it is there. In different creatures, it's at different levels. In different human beings also at different levels, you just do it, leave it at that level. It's just one more aspect. It's a physical platform for our existence, biology, isn't it? Now, you must decide what should be your front end. You must decide.
I will… So, pretty…
See, it's not me who's dodging the questions, okay?
To be honest, I think it's still unclear to me, to be very honest. But I think the tangent that we will have to discover will come
No, there
in
is no
time.
tangent. I'm just asking you, is it true these four dimensions are there to you?
Yes, very much.
What should be the leading edge? That's all I'm asking. What is the tangent about it?
I still stand by thought for some reason. I'm probably terribly wrong, and I will probably discover
No,
it in
no.
time.
Is it true your thought is coming from limited data?
True, yes.
So, if you're coming from limited data, is it true that you can never ever explore anything new?
You can always widen your data. You can always go out there and learn and study.
That is
That's
experience. See,
correct,
please
yes.
understand, life is happening in three fundamental dimensions. Why in this culture all this Trishula, Trikala, Trinetra, all this three is, because essentially your life is happening like this. There is memory of the past, there is experience of the now, and there is imagination of the future. These are the only ways life is happening. But people can sit here right now and suffer what happened 10 years ago.
Yes.
You can, you also can. And people can suffer what may happen day after tomorrow already.
Yes, exactly.
So if you're suffering what happened 10 years ago or 10 days ago, what happened 10 years ago, does it exist right now? No. So you're suffering that which does not exist. Please, psychologist, please tell me, if somebody is suffering that which does not exist, what's the terminology for them?
I'm like, you tell me.
No, I'm only asking for technical terminology. If someone is suffering that which does not exist here, what is the term, psychiatric term?
Paranoia? Yeah.
Yeah, you can…
Teachers help me a little.
You can call it whatever you call it. I call it simply insanity. No, that is a very strong word because it'll not help your practice if you call people that. But the fact is, if I'm suffering something which is not here, it amounts to insanity or no? Yes. So if I am suffering what happened yesterday or what may happen day after tomorrow, I am suffering something which does not exist, isn't it? So essentially, there is… in this form of education, you have done no work as to how to manage the intellectual process. No work, simply it's going mad all the time. You don't know what is memory, what is experience, what is imagination, it's all mixed up. In this state, this intellect is not a possibility, it is only trouble. I must tell you this, 4 months ago, I think 4.5 months ago, a television anchor in Andhra Pradesh, a 34-year-old woman, she jumped off the 5th floor and killed herself. She left a note saying, "Nobody is responsible for my death, my brain is my enemy." Can you beat this? Well, she articulated it, but that's the truth with a whole lot of people, 90% of humanity. Their brain is their enemy. They don't need any external enemy. If they sit in one place, they poke themselves. So she killed herself, and this… I don't know if you saw this handwritten thing went all over on the televisions and everything. Well, this brain, This brain is the most bloody precious thing that you have. It took millions of years to manufacture this brain of evolution. And today, it's become your enemy. Obviously, there is no stabilizing factor inside. When we say stabilizing factor, we are not talking about taking tranquilizers or having a glass of something to become stable. There is a dimension beyond all this. It is on the platform of this life, we have slowly built this body, we built this mind, we built these emotions, isn't it? Isn't there no concern about that platform that you call as life? If we just attend to that, all these questions will just vanish. People were asking me when I was at Anna University day before yesterday, Sadhguru, how come you can answer every question? I said, because till now, nobody asked me a question that I myself did not ask to myself and to everybody around me. I had a billion questions, nobody answered. Then I realized the questions are all coming from a wrong perspective. Because there is no profound experience of life on the surface with information that I have, I am manufacturing questions and questions hung like a dark cloud around me when I was young. So I said, till now nobody has asked a question that I myself did not raise. But why? If I raise the question, the next generation is raising the same damn question, that means we are not learning a thing from each other, isn't it?
With all due respect, speaking of mental diarrhea and data bin, we'd like to talk about the education system and sorry. So, as students, at this point, I know this has been through ages and like all students feel a certain way about the education system, but there's a certain amount of anxiety that exists within us because we learn great things here, okay?
It's good for your future practice if everybody's anxious.
That's there, that's there. Psychology helps.
Yes.
So, we feel trapped because all the learning that we do here is beautiful. Like, we sit, we attend classes, and it's really nice. But the concept of one standardized way of evaluating all students is something that seems really unfair in a certain way, and it sort of pulls us down because not everybody learns a certain way, not everybody has to be evaluated a certain way, but the system should work. So there's not this one solution to it. You just can't go, okay, you do this and then everything is fine. The students are happy and the teachers are happy. There's no one direct way to it. So how do you sort of approach this system that is trapping the creative minds of young, nice, sweet students?
That's sweet you added to describe yourself. See, right now I'm involved in writing an education policy for the country. We are working on it. It may take another year and a half before we really come up with this. Because I live my life out of my experience. And my experience of education was just ridiculous. The sisters… No, I'm acknowledging them because I am also a Carmelite. One year, on my second standard, I was in the Christ the King convent, and in my seventh standard, I was in my Nirmala convent. No school would keep me for more than 1 year. Because I never understood, why the hell am I going to the school? Nobody explained to me. It's very… please, whatever I say, please, I want you to listen to this carefully because it could be misunderstood completely. Because when I was 4.5 years of age, one thing struck me, that suddenly I did not know anything. I do not know anything means I do not know anything at all. If somebody gives me a glass of water, I do not know what is water. Well, I know I can drink it, I can use it, I know how to use it, but I don't know what it is. So I keep staring at the water for hours on end. Well, actually the fact is, even today you don't know what is water, if you really look at it. We know how to use it, we know how to destroy it, but we don't know how to… what it is really. With all this scientific exploration, we do not know one single atom in its entirety. We know how to break it, fuse it, make a bomb out of it, all these things we know, but we don't know what it is. So if I found a blade of grass, I'm just staring at it for hours. If I sit up in the night in the bed, I'm simply staring in the darkness. My dear father, being a physician, started thinking that I need psychiatric evaluation. You're just too late. My problem was, I look at this and I don't know what this is. They're asking me to look at that. I just cannot shift my attention, I'm just looking at this. In this condition, they sent me to school. My mother said, don't look here and there, pay attention to the teacher. I went and looked at the teacher. Absolute attention to the teacher, the kind of attention they'd never received in their life. Many things happened in this, I don't want to go into the detail. When about 9 years ago, this school where I studied for a couple of years, that's the only school where I stayed for 2 years. So they came to invite me for their 125th anniversary. I said, see, why me? I was not just a not good student, I was not even a student. Because I didn't have a textbook, I didn't have a notebook, I just went. I just had a bicycle. I thought it was good enough. So, I said, why me? Please, I'm not a good example for the students. They said, no, our school has produced union ministers, our school has produced cricketing stars, film stars, you are the only mystic, you have to come. So I went. So I went and sat there in the quadrangle, the same oppressive buildings, and no, this is my experience, I'm saying. And suddenly I looked at this particular classroom and I remembered, I was 12 years of age. One afternoon, these are times when I don't speak for many days, because when you don't know anything what to say. I'm still trying to drink in the creation around me, I'm paying attention to the leaf, to the… everything. Man, woman, child, animal, plant, anything. I'm just paying attention to everything, I still not figured out a thing. So there's nothing much to say, so I don't speak. So at one point, my father put me through speech and hearing test, thinking I cannot speak. This is the problem of a physician. Then that afternoon, the teacher is trying to get some response from me. After about 35–40 minutes, I'm just looking at him. I don't even hear what he's saying. I know this man's past, present and future, but I don't hear the question. After 35–40 minutes, he got so frustrated and angry with me. He came and held me by the shoulder, shook me like this violently and said, you must either be the divine or the devil. I think you're the later. I didn't feel insulted or abused, I just thought about this. Because till then, I did not know what is this, what is this, what is that, what is that. Everything is a question mark, the entire universe. But I knew one thing, this is me. This guy confused me about that also. I just looked like this. Is this divine, is this devil? What the hell is this? I tried to stare, it didn't work, then I started closing my eyes and sitting. This is how my journey started, because I am trying to figure out what the hell is this, because till now I had one assurance, this is me. Suddenly he confused me about this also. Why I'm telling you this is, see, we have set up education factories to feed for other factories, larger factories. You must all understand, Day in and day out, when everybody talks economy, 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 you must understand you are just raw material. You're not human beings. That's where we're driving the world, entire world. When economy is the most important thing, this is how you will run the education. There is no time for any tenderness, there is no time for any nurturing, there is no time for anything because everybody has to pass at a certain age and get into the job and make money and then in the end, I don't know what, they'll relax in the end when they're 75. So, this has to change, but for this to change, we have been in 15, 20 generations of poverty in this country. Your parents have relaxed a little bit. My time, our parents were so hyper about how will you earn a living, how will you earn a living. I said, why are you bothered about how do I earn a living? Tell me when you don't want to feed me, I'll just go somewhere. I'm capable of getting my food. And I have no problem of wanting to live like somebody else. I'm not bothered what somebody else has. I know I will never go hungry, I will find my food somehow. I went into the jungle and stayed for 3 weeks by myself and I managed to survive off the jungle. So I knew if nothing works, I'll go into Western Ghats. So why I'm saying this is, we become too overly concerned about survival process. For the society to relax a little bit, I think economic development is needed. See, these two things are like this. If economic development is much more and there is ease, that if you… let's say you don't pass your examination, you won't fall on the street and get lost. If that assurance is there, everybody will relax a little bit, feet off the throttle a little bit will happen. So right now we created three different dimensions of education. One form of education is just for rural India, because for them it's economic. For them to get out of that economic and social pit in which they are, a certain type of education. Another form of education for those parents who are reasonably affluent, who want their children to be exposed to a variety of things. Here at least 50% of the time is dedicated to art, music, theatre, like this, and the school is created like a museum, almost. So children live here in a completely different way. And we have another school which you saw the girls dancing. From the age of 6 to 18, there is no academics for them. They learn only classical dance, classical music, Kalaripaitu, which is the mother of all martial arts, yoga, Sanskrit language and English language. This is all they learn. They don't go to any academic stuff. They go through 12 to 15 years of very severe training. You saw the girls dancing, but you don't know their fitness. If you ask them to just climb up here, they will just find their way up, they're like that. Physically, the main focus is to grow the body and the brain to its fullest without any intent. See, the problem is at the age of 3, people like to hear their sweet little girls say, "What will you become?" "I'll become doctor." At the age of 3. So from the age of 3, you're wishing a lot of people will be sick in the world. I'm saying it's a completely wrong way of nurturing. Raising children or bringing up human beings is like raising a garden. It's not a factory. In one extruder, everybody goes, but that's not going to change in a hurry. So you need to learn how to make the factory feel like a garden a little bit, because in your time, it's not going to change. By the time you get out of education, it will… if we start the process now and invest heavily, it may change slowly in the next 20, 25 years, that's how it is. Because changing the education system, in thought we can change it, on paper we can change it. Putting it down there, training the necessary people, creating the infrastructure, this is not going to happen. And also we need to reduce our population a little bit. Otherwise it's very difficult to provide good education for everybody.
So there is, since we're talking about education and the Indian education system…
Are the people in the upper region still awake and on? Quiet, they are so…
Okay, since we're talking about the Indian education system, one of the main questions that actually came to us, was, is attendance… is education all about attendance? Because… somewhere… Yeah, they're awake now. Somewhere, no one wakes up in the morning to say, oh, I'm going to learn something new today.
She wants to become a star in the college.
So, everyone, I think, gets up saying, oh, I don't have attendance, dude. I think I need to attend this class. Oh, I have 85 in that, so maybe I can miss one class. I think many of the students here, they don't like maths, but when it comes to calculating the amount of percentage that is required, they're so good at it. I think even Anisha has a question when it comes to motivation and drive as such, especially in college. Yeah. So my main question is, how do we shift that into more of a learning objective than making attendance so dominant in this education system?
I don't want to share my experience of attendance.
What happens with the student body at large is the drive to learn or the drive to acquire knowledge has died down somewhere. So I think this is a question from the student government itself, because we as an organization, as an institution, I think…
You're trying to win the next election also.
Won it already. So what happens with a lot of the students in college is we provide them with all of the avenues that they possibly could ask for. The best associations, the best teachers, the best outlook, the best reach, opportunity, name it, and we've given it at some level. But the drive to get them to actually do it, or the drive to get ourselves to actually pick ourselves by the feet and say, this is what I want to do, I want to make use the whole potential of what I've been given. How do we accomplish that? Because I think there's a stage of stagnation. We hit a plateau by third year and we've declined. So how to overcome that stagnation?
See, as you have been pointing out, as students everywhere, and it's not that teachers and establishment doesn't know about it, they also know. One thing is the massive size of the student body. It's not a small number to experiment and change this and that, it's massive. And if you make any changes, the loopholes that arise in the new system, everybody will exploit the loophole. So, people are averse to change because of this, which is not the right way to approach. But the pressures of running an educational institution, I also know how it is. Talking about attendance, see, I raise my girl with very little interference with what she's doing. So she traveled with me. I was traveling across India, driving myself all the time. So she started traveling with me when she was 3.5 months of age. I just held her down in the front seat, strapped, and drove. Always my right leg is heavy, you know. So she grew up like this in various homes and her exposure to people was tremendous. By the time she's 18 months of age, she's fluently speaking 3 languages. But I made it very clear to everybody, nobody will teach her anything. Do not teach her ABC, Mary had a little lamb. I don't care whether Mary had a lamb or not. So, I made one rule, you can play with her, you can do whatever, nobody is going to teach her 1, 2, 3, ABC, nothing. No rhymes, no nothing. Well, she picked up some cinema tunes, this and that, like Sounds of Isha singing, she picked up those tunes by herself, but nobody taught her anything. Then I thought I'll never send her to school, she can just be with me, but one big problem is you cannot provide that age group company, which is very important. She may become my age when she is still 10, 12. So I sent her to a school which is most relaxed without too many restrictions. When she was 12, 13 years of age, one day she came to me. Something that happened in the school upset her emotionally and she came to me and she said, "You're teaching everybody so many things, you don't tell me anything." I said, "See, I don't teach anything to anybody unsolicited. Now that you've come, we can talk, I think." I said, "This is all you have to know. Never look up to anybody. She looked at me like this. I said, even me. Because if you look up to me, you will miss the value of who I am. Maybe you'll hang me on the wall and nail me to the wall and smoke me out of your house with incense. But you will miss the value of who I am. You have to look at me for who I am. So don't look up to anybody. Don't look down on anybody. This is all… Just think through this. Because all human beings have fixed it. Something is good, something is bad, something is high, something is low, something is superior, something is inferior. In this state, there's no education, if you ask me. Only misuse of knowledge. So this is all you have to know. Never look up to anything, never look down on anything. You will become absolutely present and very human. Full-fledged human. And if you become an overflowing humanity, your learning possibilities, your perception will blow up like that. That's what we need to do. But how to do it, they were telling me in these premises there are 10,000 girls. How to do it with 10,000 girls? It's tough. Okay, we will limit it to only 2,000 girls, then there will be strike outside on the street. Why are you not giving us admission? So this is a situation which can't be just fixed simply because somebody changed their mind, you can't fix it. There is a very complex reality there. So for yourself, we can do this, maybe, I don't know, from the student union or from the teacher's side. If we can identify responsible students, responsible need not necessarily mean obedient. Responsible need not necessarily mean they're getting 98 marks in where they should only get 60. So, responsible is different. All I'm saying is, if all of you girls assure the management that our time in the college, don't compel us to just necessarily sit in the class, but these 7 or 8 hours we have, we will stay focused on something. We will not sit here and there gossiping, we'll focus on something. If education is a focused time, it doesn't matter what you focus on. Who knows, you may be science, suddenly you may become a better psychiatrist than her, psychologist than her, or she may be psychology, she may just pick up something else. Because choices are made considering so many things at a certain time, that may not be your genuine aptitude. See, there is a certain genius in every human being. Home situation and school situation must fundamentally focus on how to unfold that genius. Unless you create that atmosphere of incubation, it will not flower. Believe me, 99% of the human beings on this planet live and die without ever touching the inner genius that they hold within themselves. It is not just about them, what a loss to humanity. This is why the same stupid things are being debated for thousands of years, because human genius doesn't open, bunch of idiots. Yes, talking the same damn things forever as if it's something else. What every other creature with a millionth of your brain knows, human being is struggling to figure out. What a grasshopper knows, you're struggling to figure it out. This is not fair. Hello? This is not fair to humanity. I want a higher opinion. Hello, all of you.
So another topic that is like very sensitive, but it's not talked about as much, is casual relationships that exist in this nice age group that we're in. So yeah, I'm just going to say good things about us. So people engage in physical relationships today, and what they lack is a lot of emotions. And we want to know if it's opinion, I mean your opinion on it, and whether people do it by choice. Is it healthy? Is it, what to make of it?
Mm-hmm. Can I tell you a joke?
Yes, please.